Welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. You can hear cars racing in the background, and unfortunately I am not out there with them because my Spec3 E36 325i suffered some catastrophic failure yesterday, and now we're going to show you what actually happened. So let's roll the video and talk through what happened here Saturday morning during practice. So this is during practice, and this is my first time driving this car at Summit Point. Now, in hindsight, the car felt slow, and I kind of knew it, but I was just sort of unsure. This was the first few laps of the day. Now, if you look at the top two gauges in that little gauge pod, the left is my oil pressure, and the right is my oil temperature. The oil temperature here is already getting higher and higher by the second, and the pressure is holding fairly steady, but if you look, it's slow to come up every time I either downshift or slow down for a turn. So I'm not sure if there was something going on with the oil pump or the oil pickup tube or whatever, but the pressure might have been an issue. And then as we go down the front straight, I start realizing the car is just slow as we're going down the front straight. It's taking forever to get to the top of the fourth gear, going into fifth. And this is when I start noticing something might be wrong. Problem is, I didn't start looking at my oil temperature gauge until right about here as I exit turn one, and notice that this oil temperature is sky high. It's at 280 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is where I decide I need to figure out a good place to slow down and pull off. Of course, I'm doing this at full throttle, upshifting into fourth gear. And as I make this left turn through turn three is when everything went boom. So once I got back into the paddock, they pulled me in behind a lovely Ford F350. We got the car up on jack stands, and I noticed something sticking out on the passenger side of the car near the subframe, and I grabbed it and pulled, and I'll show you what it was. Yes, this is a connecting rod, and this part of it is what was sticking out, and you'll notice that is not very straight. It's nice and bent. You can see up here at the top, it's very dark. That's from all the heat that was generated. And then you can see with the bearing wear, the rod bearing just kind of left and said, I'm out of here. You can also see that one of the bolts on the left side is partially still in there, and then on the right side, this one, the threads actually got pulled right out of the rod itself. So this is what ejected itself from the motor. There's a giant hole. I'll show you that in just a second. And then we actually found the cap right here. One of my friends is a mechanic and came by with a magnet on a stick and fished the connecting rod cap out of the hole in the block. So you can see here, this is where that little sleeve of threads got pulled out, and then this hole here for the other bolt is just kind of ovaled out a little bit, and you can see more bearing wear going on right there. So not entirely sure what happened. I didn't really have any advance warning that this was going to be a problem, but I suspect the motor was just kind of getting tired, getting old. Well, here, let's come take a tour. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on under here, because the fun part is there's a giant inspection hole that's roughly the size of my fist in this block. So I'm gonna go ahead and get under the car, try not to cover myself in oil. And if we look under here, this side, this is the driver's side of the car, you can see everything here, you know, on the steering rack, the tie rod, power steering lines. This is all wet. The subframe is wet, the X-brace, that's all oil. I initially thought this was power steering fluid, and maybe I got lucky and didn't blow up the whole motor, but in fact I did. I'm not sure if I poke this up here, if anyone can see anything, but okay, I have to reorient myself. This is car yoga. Okay, ow, that's a rock. All right, so these blue lines are power steering lines. The red is a sway bar. And if we look up in here, I'm not sure how well anyone can see anything, but there's a giant hole. I think right about, get my hand in there, right about there looks to be the hole in the block. That is a big, big hole. It's honestly quite impressive, if I do say so myself. So that's where everything ejected from, and I suspect whenever I pull the oil pan, or rather the shop pulls the oil pan, we'll find some more fun going on in there. Now, I don't want to have all of that oil come out in my trailer while I'm towing, so now we're going to drain the oil, and I'm guessing we're going to find some glittery bits going on when I drain it. So let's get a drain pan under here and see what comes out. All right, let's open you up. Bring the pan under here. This is the first time I'm doing work on this car ever. I don't often work on my own cars because I live in a high-rise, but thankfully the drain bolt is right there. Got my Grease Monkey gloves on, we love those. To figure out which size this thing is. Not that. Is this my 17? This is my 17. Ugh. That's great. Oh, I'm terrified for what's about to come out of here. Ready, 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 here we go. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a lot of metal. Wow, this is substantial. And what's coming out of here is kind of A, not a lot, and B, not the consistency of oil that I was thinking it would be. So, TBD on how healthy this motor was. I really don't know what caused the failure, but that is certainly not the quantity of oil I thought was going to come out, and I'm really, really curious to see what's in that oil pan now. And this motor is the one that was put in the car in December of 1994 when the car was built in Germany. And this car has been a race car since 2012. My friend Rob built the car back in 2012. It was his street car for a while first, and then he turned it into a race car. So I really don't blame the car or the engine for anything. You know, it had nothing left that it owed me, frankly. So it is an unfortunate failure, but not the most surprising, and also I'm really not that upset about it. The good news is these motors, this is the BMW M50, which was found in all of the 325i's and 525i's of that era. They made a lot of them, and they're pretty easy to find, and I've actually already got a lead on one from a friend who unfortunately wrecked his car and has a good motor that had the bottom end rebuilt and the top end rebuilt, and I think I'm just going to buy that from him. But these are motors that, when I say they're cheap, I truly mean $300 to $500 at the most. So easy to find, in good shape. You can, put a little money into just kind of refreshing them and making sure all the potential consumable bits and wear items are back to better, but easy enough to get it going again. So we're gonna just get this off to the shop and see what we can do about getting a healthy motor in here and be ready for Hyperfest with NASA at VIR in about 3 weeks. So that is all. Just thought I'd give you a little quick update on the status of my racing. It has been not the most fun weekend, but still, better to have a weekend here than a weekend at home. So in any case, thank you so much for coming along. As always, give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, share, comment, subscribe right here. And otherwise, we'll see you for the next one.